Hey guys, welcome to the first edition of Just Listen with me, Lindsay Parks. All you gotta do is just listen and maybe you might fucking learn something. Alright, so here we go. Okay, so we all know that becoming an astronaut is incredibly hard to do. In the history of, history, there have only been 530 real astronauts. That's including all countries, America, Russia, China, yeah, them, but also random fuck countries like Brazil, Mexico, Spain, they all have space programs too. And I just have to believe in my heart of hearts that just one of them, one of the 530, was motivated because they wanted to fuck in space. Okay, I'm not talking about they got up there and they're like, oh gee, wouldn't it be nice if I did that? No, I'm thinking like they decided I want to fuck in space and I will do whatever needs to be done to get that accomplished. I think we can agree that sex is an incredibly motivating factor, and space sex is the most incredible sex that any human being is capable of. Even if the space sex is mediocre, it's going to trump any kind of Earth sex you could ever have. Like, you could fuck while skydiving. Sorry, space sex gonna win every time. You could fuck at the top of the Eiffel Tower with the love of your life in front of Japanese tourists while a film crew broadcasts it to the world. Sorry, space sex wins yet again. Okay, we all know that becoming an astronaut is super hard, and there are actual qualifications that you need to have before you become one. But there's some real stuff we gotta get out of the way first. First of all, you cannot be picky. I'm talking, you gotta be willing to bang a dude, a chick, whatever. And, you can't be picky because out of those 530 people who have been into space, only 57 of them were chicks. So, you gotta take it as it comes. You gotta take what you can get. Alright, the second thing you gotta think about. You cannot care about looks. Okay? Because I'm just gonna assume that as a whole, astronauts not super attractive. Alright, so now that we got all the trivial things out of the way, here are some of the real qualifications for NASA that you have to actually be eligible to become an astronaut. You have to have a bachelor's degree in engineering, biological science, physical science, or mathematics. Now, with the physical science, that one doesn't really make sense to me. Like, I just want you to picture your junior high physical science teacher and just, do a checklist in your head if you think that they would be capable of becoming an astronaut. Just take a second. Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. No fucking way. Alright, you have to have 1,000 hours of flying time, that makes sense. You have to be between 5'2" and 6'2". I never even thought about that. But I think most people are going to be okay, but if you find yourself getting tall, what the hell are you going to do? You got to start doing stuff. You got to start smoking. You got to start jumping off your roof constantly. You got to stunt that growth because you have the desire to bang in space and you aren't going to let anything hold you back. Yeah. Alright, so another thing you gotta have 20/20 vision because, there's no room for fucking glasses in space. There's just no room. Alright, so for the one guy that and it's gonna be a dude, I imagine, who is trying to accomplish this, just motivated by banging in space, I imagine, this is a long process. After you do all that stuff, you have to spend 2 years getting, special NASA training. So, I imagine throughout this, he might have some moments of doubt. Like, he might be like, oh, you know what, I'll just fuck underwater, same thing. No, he pressed on. He is dedicated. He's fucking in space. He's getting it done. So when I think astronaut, I'm thinking of, the moon. But get this. Nobody's been to the moon since 1972 on Apollo 17. What the hell? That was 41 years ago. 41. And overall, only 12 people have been on the moon. What the fuck? I just imagine when astronauts go up there, they go to the moon, they have a round of golf, whatever. It's a grand old time. But no, nobody cares about the moon anymore. It's all about Mars. And you know what I gotta say? I gotta say fuck Mars, because, Mars is just a bigger, more red moon that is farther away that I can't even see. Me, I'm a moon fan. I can see it. It controls the tides. I respect its work. Alright, so if they're not going to the moon, what the fuck are they doing up there in space that is so important? Alright, so I looked it up. Mostly what they're doing is they're bringing supplies to the space station. They're fucking with satellites. Generally just floating around in the shuttle. I kind of see that as like driving somewhere. Super awesome. I don't know, like the Taj Mahal. Or if you don't have an imagination, the Grand Canyon. And they're like, oh, come on, get out. It's going to be awesome. And you're like, no, I'm gonna stay in the car. I'm fine in the car. That's just fucking stupid. So they're just floating around in a box or going on a spacewalk, which is, when they're tethered to their shuttle thing and they just hop around. And, every movie ever has taught me that space will fucking murder you when you do that. So I don't know about that. So you're just hopping around. You're just floating in your shuttle. And space is cool, but it's probably boring as shit when you get up there. So what are you going to do? You have got to bang. You've got to bang up there. Alright, so let's assume that you've got all your training out of the way, that you're officially an astronaut, and you're up there in a shuttle, you're in space, you're ready to bang, but there's more things that we need to take into consideration for you to get this accomplished, right? You can't ask to bang right away. You gotta think about how much time you're gonna be spending up there. Because if you ask too early, it's just gonna create tension with you and the other people in space. Alright, now the longest amount of time in space was by a Russian dude, and he was up there for 438 days. Holy shit. You can't just ask to fuck on day 2, because that's going to create a very awkward 436 more days, okay? You gotta work up to it. You gotta build the camaraderie with the other astronauts up there. And okay, I looked it up. The shortest time spent in space was also the first American in space in 1961. His name was Alan Shepard. He was in space for 15 minutes. Just saying, 15 minutes is enough time to jack it and then return. Alright, he was up there alone, but if he had someone with him, it'd be like, oh hey, you wanna bang before we get back? And they'd be like, don't feel like it. Then guess what? He's back on Earth in 2 seconds. He doesn't have to worry about it anymore. Alright, so you've taken time into account. You've built up a rapport with the other crew members. You're ready to get it in. You're ready to fuck in 0G. Now is the time where you gotta pick which one you're gonna ask. Alright, so generally, flight crews have had between 3 and 10 people, so it's pretty varied. But with 3 people, if the first person you ask says no, the other one is going to be super offended that you didn't ask them first. Even if they didn't want to bang you either, they're just going to be offended. And, all your hopes to bang in space have been dashed. You spent your entire life to become an astronaut, and it was for nothing. You're now just a stupid astronaut who's not going to get to fuck in space. Alright, now with a crew of 10, it's gonna be more on the down low. It's gonna be like, hey, psst, you wanna fuck? And if the other person is like, oh god, no. Then guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna go, hey everyone, guess what this astronaut just asked me? Because a shuttle is small, and I feel like gossip is gonna get around real quick. Okay, so you finally, staked out who you're gonna ask, and they have said yes. Oh my god, your whole life has culminated into this point. You're gonna get the fucking space. Awesome. Now, you gotta keep in mind that space sex could be mediocre, but it's still gonna be better than any Earth sex you can ever have. See, the funny thing about this is, as you're fucking, you're sort of like two become one floating around. You're having this epic, glorious moment, but the funny thing is, you are effectively raping the other crew members with your sex. They can't get away from it. You're bumping into stuff and probably them. But you can't think about them. This is about you. And after you fuck up there, it could be a little weird, but you know what? You're the greatest human being alive, and you have tricked the government to finance your crazy sex fantasy. You're better than all of them. Alright, here's some just other stuff that I thought about. The youngest astronaut in space, 25 years old. The oldest astronaut in space, 77. Both dudes. And you know what they have in common? They probably were constantly at the ready in space to put it down. Just saying. Also, this is kind of weird, but the first song ever played in space was Jingle Bells. And, I don't know how you hear Jingle Bells and not immediately want to bang the person nearest to you. It's why everybody loves Christmas. And, the future of space banging looks very promising because, with the privatization of space travel, we will probably all get to fucking space in the years to come. And you know what? That's pretty fucking sweet. Alright, guys, so thanks for listening. If you managed to listen to all of that, I hope I gave you some stuff to think about. Just remember, just listen. You might fucking learn something. Alright, later.